Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
No, when you look at your story and your career, it's really interesting, and I think it speaks to a lot of just like mental adversity and just like really staying with it and not really giving up. And so I really want to kind of pick your brain on a bunch of different things today. But first off, kind of just want to ask like what are some hobbies outside of running that you're kind of into?
I really enjoy pickleball actually. Like I still like to get like that movement even if I'm not running. I enjoy working out. I also really enjoy like going on the lake and spending time with like people that I love and my friends. That's a huge quality in my life is like friends and family. So I would say like doing activities with them and just being around people that I enjoy being around.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like that's pretty good sort of hobby. It's definitely outdoors. I feel like a lot of us runners are typically like outdoors people.
Mhm.
How'd you get started running in the first place?
So I actually started when I was in second grade. So I was only 7 years old. So I've been running for a while now. But actually, my brother did. It was called Teamtopia Youth, and it was a running club that Joyce Welch started for younger kids because there's a Teamtopia South, and it's like a adult running club. So she started a kids version of it, and I went to Pleasant Hill Elementary, so she kind of connected it with that. And so every day or every other day after school, we'd go and we'd go out there and run, and then we'd run a few road races here and there. And I've just kind of stuck with it ever since. And then whenever I got into seventh grade, I started training with Lexington, and like I said, I just kind of went from there, and I really like fell in love with it.
Yeah, Lexington definitely has had some really good runners obviously come through on the girls side and the boys side from what I've seen recently. Um, I want to talk about cross country last season, but I also want to talk about just again like your experience because I think it's I think it's interesting. It's really interesting and to be able to like stay with it so long because for anybody who doesn't know, like obviously your PR of 1822 is from 2022, so it's a couple of years old.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like your mental adversity to continue to run and continue to push and continue to get better. How has that been? Because I'm sure there's people like obviously you can't PR every race, and there's sometimes when you do go in a drought like that, but being able to kind of push through it, how do you take that on?
Oh, 100%. It has been hard, like the past few years, because whenever you're in seventh or eighth grade and your body just isn't the same anymore. So, whenever you have those times, whenever you're younger and having to stick with it, whenever you're kind of going through like a slope or whatever, it does get hard. But also, it's not just about the times, it's not just about like each race doesn't define you. So, the people around me definitely lift me up. And I can see that everybody goes through that. I've watched for example, like Abigail White, I'm sure that you know her. She kind of went through this drought as well, and then she came out amazing, and now she's doing great at USC and stuff. So I feel like seeing other people go through it and knowing that it's not just me, and seeing that you have to take the little victories. So maybe I didn't PR, but maybe I got like top three at this race, or maybe I have a season best. I feel like the little victories and seeing other people go through the same things that I do definitely helped me keep going and give me the motivation to like stay with it and realize why I love it. It's not just the times, it's not just winning and that type of thing.
Yeah, and you bring up really good points of obviously bringing other runners into this. One of my good friends, way back in the day, similar ran like 19-minute 5Ks at a younger age. Made it. I think it had to have been maybe sophomore year. Kind of went into a slump. Went into a slump all the way to senior year. Ended up going to Florida State University, and still was kind of in that slump, but managed to walk on the team and just kept at it. And actually, she eventually, I think it was like her sophomore junior year in college, went sub 5 in the mile, and everything just started clicking. She ended
Mm-hmm.
up going turning to the marathon, sub 3 hour marathon runner now. It's like two. She's like doing 240s or whatever. I'm like,
That's
so you just never
insane.
know. Yeah, you never know. And it's like people could have
Exactly.
easily called her out and just been like, no, you're done. Like in
Mm-hmm.
10th grade, and been like, not at all. She had so much more to give. But it
Exactly.
really exactly. But it's just sticking with it. It's sticking with it, and I think it's easy to give up. It's
Oh,
super
it
easy
is.
to give up and give into it. But yeah, but that's why I say like sticking with it is really cool. You look at, and I think also too, again, like you play a major role in your team. It's not like you're running 27-minute 5Ks. Like you're still a huge contribution to your team. 18th at states. Did you have a kind of a game plan going into that, or?
So we did. We kind of obviously our goal is to win as a team, and I also feel like that played a major role in not giving up. Like even the big races aren't going to go how you want, but that's why you come back for more kind of things. State didn't go exactly how it planned for any of us, but just kind of showing up, getting there, and having a goal in mind was the main point of that. And I would have liked to get a little bit higher, but like I said, can't win them all. And I don't know. Our goal in that race was just kind of get through it and stay together. And I feel like we did stay together for the most part, but it was okay.
Yeah, but first at state quals, like, was that a shock, or was that like something you knew like was just kind of in the tank?
I don't know. It kind of was a shock a little bit, but also I had been telling myself that I'm still in it, that I can show up and do it. So I feel like it kind of was refreshing to get first and be like, okay, like I am still here because last season, cross country season, I'd say was probably one of the most mentally hard for me just because it was very up and down. Like one race, I would have a really great race, and the next, I would just be struggling. And it was like my time wasn't there, I wasn't feeling good. So having that little like right before state being like you're still in this kind of thing definitely helped me going into state. And like I said, even though it didn't go exactly how I planned, it was just kind of nice to be like you're still here, you're still who you were kind of thing. And it's not like who Kendra was, it's you still are her. And that's what my coach Lewis actually reminds me of a lot, is like people, or I guess I've referred to myself as like what I was in 7th grade, but you're like still that same person.
Yeah, no. I think experience goes a long way too. I tell my son all the time. It was like last year. Yeah, it'd have been like last year. He's into running, and he always jokes like, "Oh, I can beat you. I can beat you." And I was like, "All right, man. Like let's go out and do just a 200-meter sprint down the road,
Yeah.
and we'll see." I'm not nearly what I was back in the day, but I beat him. I beat him, but I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, it's experience. I just know what to do. I know when to sit and kick. I know when to wait a little bit longer. I know you're gonna burn
Exactly.
yourself out." So I think experience goes a long way in not just the races itself as like time. It's just having experience, and you've done it. Obviously you're state champion um,
Mm-hmm.
in respective races. The experience goes a long way of building a good culture and a good team. Now you did run 18:46 season best this year, which is against. I mean, you're right in the mix, and that was at Lexington County race. Did you? I don't know if you've seen the channel before. You can say no, you haven't. But we did record out there.
Okay, I looked at it a little bit. I haven't seen too much of it, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that race is on there. I'm like,
Really? I
yeah,
didn't know that.
you're on there. Go check it out. You're definitely on
Okay.
there. And I'm sure, I think Lexington, I think we were at a few races last year and you were there. So definitely, yeah, check them out. Share them with their family. I'm sure they'd like to see them too.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any favorite like courses that you kind of enjoy? Obviously, you've had such a
Yes,
long,
I
like,
definitely have a few that are better. I
yeah,
really enjoy Crooked Creek or like Mike Moore at Chapin. That one's always, it's kind of flatter and faster, so it's kind of like nice to just have a break between all the hills and all that. But also a couple years ago we went to Hillcrest High School. I think it was for, I'm trying to think what race that was. I don't know. I don't remember, but it was a really fun course because that's the only time we've ever done it. So it was kind of something new. I also did really enjoy Fort Jackson last year because that was the first time we did that too. And obviously there's a big hill in it, but other than that, it was actually kind of nice to run, and I really enjoyed that. And obviously Lexington, I love Lexington. It's a home
yeah,
course, fun, it's fast.
yeah. Yeah, we were at Mike Moore last year too. Go check that one out too. I'm just promoting every
Okay.
race now.
Yes.
Yeah, Fort Jackson, I've got that a few times because I ran pretty fast too, it seemed like. Uh, which is weird because, yeah, you think of like that hill all the way to the road, and it's a pretty long hill, like going
Oh,
up.
it feels even longer when you're racing. It's like
Yeah.
never ending.
What else? Have you done Starlight before? I feel like that one
I
always comes up
haven't.
too.
I haven't.
Really? Wow, out of all the
Yeah, our
years.
coach, I don't know. I don't know why we don't go to it, but I think it's just because it's like extremely fast, so he's not
Yeah.
like not really sure.
What about Eye Opener?
Oh, we did do that once. We did that. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. That one was fun. It was kind of hard.
Yeah, I feel like Eye Opener is honestly one of the more like true cross country courses
Oh yeah,
because
100%.
it's wide and you can maneuver and it's all grass
Hmm.
and then even at Lexington, your course, I didn't find it was that bad either. I thought it was pretty nice.
Yeah, I like Lexington. It kind of gives you like road and it's mostly grass, but it kind of gives you that nice like back road. You can kind of get on there if you want to break from
Yeah,
the grass.
yeah, get up to speed a little bit there.
Yeah.
Now, kind of, we can kind of transition into track. I think track's really interesting for you, because it's kind of. I guess I should start off like, what event do you feel more comfortable in? Because like you did the 8 a lot this year, but you've done the 16 and the 32, but you didn't really do the 32 much this year.
So I would definitely say that the past few years, like I've been trying to figure it out, and I feel like I always fall back to the 16. So this year, I really loved the 8. Like I thought the 8 was so much fun. Like I really loved it, but there's obviously so many strong runners in that, so it's kind of harder to. Or I guess there's so many strong runners in all of them, but I was stronger in the 16. So I feel like my one that I always go back to seems to be the 1600, but I really did enjoy the 8. I've kind of just gone away from the 32 ever since I had iron issues my freshman year, so it was kind of harder for me to like be able to exert that much energy for that long. So I went to the 8 and the 4, and then I went back to the 16 again, but I just never really went back to the 32.
You speak on, again, kind of like some of the earlier years. Have you noticed a huge growth in like competition throughout the years, especially when you were? Because, I mean, you started running in seventh grade, and obviously this track season was just it exploded on the scene. You had so many girls running sub 11 and a lot of girls running low fives. Like, have you noticed that at all?
Yes, I will say since my seventh grade year to now, I feel like the competition every year just gets faster and faster and faster, and it's kind of crazy. But it also helps pull me. Like if I didn't have those people in front of me during a race, I definitely would not be running the times.
Yeah, I wanna ask real quick because I was never a state champion by any means, and you are, which is pretty cool. How? Because I think like when you run a time, nobody can ever take that away from you. Nobody can ever
Mhm.
take that state title from you. Like you are a state champion regardless. Like your title is state champion. Um, how is that? Like, how was that feeling? How was that whole experience? Like, do you still sit like have I don't even say a chip on your shoulders? Like, dude, you are a state champion. Like, show you some respect. You're
Yeah, it
badass.
definitely was so cool. Like I will say, it was kind of like almost a fever dream. It was like the last 100 meters, I knew that I had it because I don't know. I just kind of like could feel it. Like you know how it is during a race whenever you know where you're positioned and stuff. And I like crossed the line and it was like unreal. Like it was just seriously unreal. I was like, I can't believe I just did that. I was very proud of myself. And I feel like now I almost appreciate it more just because it was like I almost didn't know what I did whenever I was in seventh grade. It was just kind of, oh, another race, like state, like good job kind of thing. But now it's like that is such a big deal. And it was a big deal back then, but I just think as I get older, I learn to appreciate it more and just see how much of a big deal it really is. But it really just was just unreal. It was so much fun. That was like one of the most fun races of my life, I'd say.
Yeah, it's always cool because you can always kind of remember even some of the races you don't do well in, but they're just fun races to be in. Um,
Yeah.
it's always cool to kind of look back on those and like you still remember them years down the road.
Hmm.
When you're running, I don't want to say like an important race because I think, I mean, every race could be important. Do you hear your coaches at all, or like do your parents, like do you hear people like yell for you, or are you just like
I do.
completely?
I feel like I like pick out people, if that makes sense, because
Yeah,
it's like if a bunch of people are yelling for me, like I'll hear my coach or I'll hear my dad, but I won't just hear like random stuff. So most of the time I hear Coach Lewis again. I've mentioned him before, but in track, I definitely hear him a lot, and he kind of just says things that he know will help us. One certain thing he says is every 50. So whenever we're coming through the last lap, he'll be around like 200 meters left of a race, and he'll just be like every 50, and just I try to accelerate every 50 to just get it done. And I feel like that really helps break it up in my head, especially the longer races. Whenever you're coming through on like that eighth lap of a 32, and it's like I've already gone 7. It's just I want to be done, so it's kind of easier to break it up. And hearing him is kind of reassuring, like you do have people cheering for you and all that kind of thing.
yeah. I feel like I always hear everybody talk, but then it's like I guess when you like finish, you're like you can't really remember like what they said or sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you have, because again your range is so, it is kind of like, it's a wide range. Like if you're running the 8, um and then you go to the 16, it's not too much, but then obviously like, we mentioned the 32. Do you have a favorite track workout that kind of makes you feel stronger than the rest?
I actually have a few. One of my favorite ones, we do 3x300s, but with 10-minute recovery. So it like attacks the lactic, and you have to learn how to like deal with it. So by that third, like it doesn't sound like a lot of reps, but by that third 300, it's just like you're dead, and they're all out. So every 300, we're going all out with 10 minutes recovery, and I feel really strong at the end because you learn how to like get through the lactic, you learn how to finish, and you have your teammates pulling along with you. And then another one I like is we do 8 300s till failure. So you're going pretty much, I think it's 800 pace, and you don't get much rest. I think it's like a minute rest between, and then if you don't hit your pace, you drop to a 200, and then if you don't hit that pace, then you drop to a 100, and you try to get 8. The goal is 8. So no matter what, you're doing 8 reps, but you switch how your distances depending on if you hit your time or not. So it's kind of cool to see. At the beginning of the season, I could do like 5 800s. At the end, I could do 7. It's kind of cool to see the progression.
Huh. Look at you just dropping workouts. Everybody's gonna start doing. I'm gonna write those down and start doing those with my kids. Those sound pretty cool. I like the interesting workouts. We had one in college where it was like I don't know if you've ever heard like elimination miles. Yeah, so there's like some races. It's kind of big in like Australia, but it's like every 400 meters, somebody, whoever's in last, is dropped. So it kind of gives you like an incentive. Yeah, it gives you an incentive to not kind of sit in the pack. But you got people who will like sit and wait to the last 100 and then kind of kick and then slow the pace back down so you just not last. But we had a workout like that in college. I always found was like really interesting. But I think it was just like there was maybe 10 or 11, 12 of us who did it. And it was just like whoever's the last one standing wins.
Seems kind of fun.
It was fun. It's really fun because you got to be tactical with it, but you also like, I know I'm not out kicking some of those guys, so I'm like, I just got to go hard the whole time, and obviously they don't want to go hard the whole time. They want to chill as much as they can. So yeah, I think there's always like there's good workouts like that. There's like fun workouts, and then there's like kind of those like I'm always big into like mile repeats or something. I think those are like just tough workouts.
They're hard, but they have a good purpose.
Yeah, they do. When you look at like the whole track season itself for this season, how would you say it was like just overall?
I feel like it went pretty good. I was pretty happy with how it turned out, especially the end. I took a risk at state because I had only run the 1600 once before state qualifier. And I feel like watching everybody kind of take off in the 800 was insane because obviously at state they ran like a 208, I think, or 210. I don't know, something crazy. And I just kind of had to look back and I was like, okay, I know that I'm capable of a lot, but I don't think I'm capable of getting that fast. So I kind of just took a risk and I was like, I'm just going to try to go for the 16. And I definitely think it was a good decision in the end, looking back at it. So I don't know, it was a lot of like mental and having to pick my events and just choosing what's best in the end rather than focusing on one race. I kind of just looked at the whole season instead.
Now, 508 for this season best. Is it, because I was talking the other day with somebody who was running like, he's at like 10:01 is his PR, and he's run like 10:01, 10:03 a couple times. Like he's right there on the cusp of breaking 10. And I told him, I was like, as soon as you do it, you kind of just like know how to do it. You being in like that, because you are in that range of like, you're in that like, obviously 502 the PR, 510 range. Like, is it something that just kind of comes natural now because you've done it so many times? Like you just know like, this is how I have to go out. Like this is where I need to be at the half. This is how I need to close. Like, is it? I don't say it's easy, but is it easier now that you've done it so many times?
Yeah, I feel like it is more natural. It's not like I'm putting so much thought into it where I was at the beginning of everything. But it definitely is still a struggle. Like once you get that sub 510, I feel like it's just like punching it. Like I don't know, it's such a hard barrier to break. But it is very rewarding knowing that I can be consistent. But sometimes, obviously, running a 502, it's like 2 seconds, or 3 seconds, I guess. But everything happens for a reason, I feel like. So maybe it's to come and maybe I'll get like break that barrier this year or next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, the 800 is what did you do the 800 a lot in like
Mm-hmm.
22? In
Oh,
22.
oh, no,
That's what
no,
I'm
I
saying.
can't.
Like it seems like you look at that 800 speed now and I'm like you could probably run something pretty nice in the especially in the 32 if you just can obviously if you just hang on because you just have such raw speed.
Mm-hmm.
Have mistaken me, but have you done it? You've done anything lower than 8 before?
I have run the 400 before. I
Yeah,
was a
okay.
400 my freshman year. I ran that and the 800 a lot. And then I still kind of ran it this year. I ran it, I think, two open 400s, and then I was on our 4x4 team a lot.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was like I thought you did the 4 in there. Um
Mhm.
is that something you would ever go to or is like that just too short?
I don't think so. My PR is like a 59, so it's not really anything to be able to compete in. But
Yeah.
I love the 4x4. I love running the 4x4. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, I could never imagine that. Like, kudos to you. Especially like you call like a distance runner, like, yeah, just do the 400 sometimes too, and they're 404. Like,
Sometimes, yeah.
like
It is
people would look
very
at you
fun,
like,
though.
what? How does that
Yeah.
happen? um, so again, I think you had a really good, strong track season. Um, goals for cross, like,
I would say like this summer I'm working more on building muscle. I feel like I'm kind of lacking like the weight room side of cross country and track, mostly track I guess because you have to be more explosive with that. So I'm definitely trying to get in the weight room more and build more muscle rather than just relying on miles on top of miles on top of miles. But some of my goals are probably just to I will say eat better. I'm trying to do things more outside of running almost to make my running better. So not just focusing completely on running, but eating better, getting better sleep, working more in the weight room, like that kind of thing.
yeah, and you bring up a good point. And from when you were training at a younger age to every single season, do you change it up at all, or is it like because I don't know right now? Obviously, you said you're kind of eating better, you're trying different things. Um, have you done that every year? Or is it just like finding something that works for you? Like, you know?
Yeah, I feel like usually it's pretty much the same. Like I don't eat awful and that kind of thing, and I don't get like awful sleep. But I feel like just kind of fixing like the small things like that because I could definitely do better. So maybe if I do a little bit better, I'll get a little bit better, and each season or throughout the season, I can just get like that much better compared to how I was last season and the season before that. So I feel like it's not going to be like a huge change, but it'll definitely help because it was never that great. So I don't know, but my seasons are pretty much the same with that kind of thing. And obviously, the training switches up because if we do the same training, we're going to get the same results, kind of thing. So, yeah, pretty much it's the same baseline of what I do, but I try to switch up little things to get different results.
Are you into low miles, high miles?
I've been trying low just because I've been running for so long that if I like stay high like all summer and then take it into like cross country and then track, I just get a little bit like burnt out and stuff. So this season, I'm definitely trying to go a little bit lower and seeing if that works, but we'll see.
It is that like the first time? Is this the first time you've ever tried low, or
Last summer we did a lot lower than the one before that because the one before that we were getting up to like 50 miles a week. It was like crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. So last summer we did lower, and then this summer we are going to try that again. So we'll see.
yeah? I find it always like really interesting. Um, because yeah, you hear some talk about 50-mile weeks, and then you'll hear 30-mile weeks or 20-mile weeks. Um, for the first time I had somebody on, they said they ran 6 days a week. And some are running like 5 days a week. How many days do you run? Do you do six?
Typically we do six, but sometimes if our coaches are very flexible, so if we're like feeling dead this week or like whatever, we can take like 2 days off. But typically on like a standard week, we'll do six.
Six. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then a long run. Are you guys doing a long run or no?
Yeah, but our long runs right now are sitting around like 5 or 6 rather than higher. But I think we'll definitely get up there because long runs are important. So we'll probably get up there in the next couple of weeks.
What is the longest run you've done?
I've done a half marathon, so I've
Oh
done
wow, there you go.
yeah, yeah. I did that after state of my 8th grade year. 2 days after state, me and Lydia, we went and did a half marathon. It was so much fun. It sounds
Yeah,
crazy to say, but it was.
yeah. I was gonna say, how was that?
It was actually very fun. And we were like, oh, we're just gonna take this as a joke. Like, we're not gonna go fast, and we ended up ending our last mile at like 6:30. It's
Oh
kind of
gosh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
Do you like the? But see, that's so interesting too, because again, like when I look at you and I look at the times, I'm like, well, you do strike me as more of the 8:16 type of girl. And then you come here and you say, oh, you did a half marathon. It's like, okay, well, now I'm just wrong completely.
Yeah.
Um, do you like the long distance stuff, or you think kind of just sitting low?
I definitely like am drawn more towards the short, just because I don't know. I think it's a lot more fun, but I do like the half marathon was so much fun too. So I can kind of get behind both of them, but my favorite right now is probably shorter, like 8, even
Yeah.
mile. I do enjoy the mile a lot, but
So when it comes to like the summer training, you guys started training already, correct?
yeah, I started a little bit later just because I took a bigger break after track, but I'm starting like around right now. But I've been in the weight room a lot.
How long of a break did you have?
I think it was 4 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit longer. I feel like it seems like now the track seasons are so hard to like cut off because there's so many people who just go so deep into June after
Mm-hmm.
states. It's like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even taking a longer break is not even an issue at all. I mean, we have till November
Especially
to
exactly,
yeah.
especially because our cross country seasons are so long that it's just like me starting in the beginning of June. I feel like would just like, or even people started in May. I feel
Yeah.
like some people
Yeah.
did. So I feel like if I did that by the time state rolled around, I would just be like my legs would
Dead.
be cooked. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part too, because it's like cross country running in general has turned into a year round sport. Dang near.
Mm-hmm.
You look at like you think like club soccer or like AAU basketball as being year round, and it's like running is turned into year round, especially when you do cross and then indoor. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't do indoor, you're dang near getting ready for outdoor, and then outdoor goes all the way till again like June. I think New Balance is
Mm-hmm.
happening or Nike's happening this past week. Um, so yeah. Now, two more things, kind of what I want to talk about. Both have to do with like rankings. Do you ever look at the rankings of where you are? So this year, kind of returning, you're the 24th returner um, across all classifications. Do you look at that at all, or not? Not really.
I will say I look at track so much more. Like before state, I was on there like every day in school. I was just like looking where I'm at, what times I need to do. But cross country, I don't look as much at. Obviously, I do during season a little bit, but I haven't been recently. Just because during my breaks, I try to just like not like disassociate completely, but it's just like I try to give my mind a break as well instead of thinking about it consistently and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then as a team, you guys are second. You guys are ranked second coming into this year, and you're leading the way. Uh, Top five, all sub 20 PRs. Um, how is that? I mean, to go from seventh grade Kendra to now senior year leading the pack, leading the charge, like how is that? That's got to be like a complete like 360, like whoa, like you know?
Yeah. So I'm actually only going to be a junior this year. I have 2 more
Oh, junior.
years.
Okay. Oh, junior.
Yeah.
But then you have
Yeah.
oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, I still have 2 more years left. But it is even though I am not a senior yet, it still is kind of crazy because I am getting to be one of the older ones on the team. I started at the obviously I was young on the team and I was a manager in 6th grade even, so I've been around these girls for a long time. So being able to just kind of be their role model now and show them consistency and that it's possible, because I feel like a lot of girls, it's like they feel like they're stuck at this barrier, but everybody goes through having to break barriers, whether it's the 18-minute barrier, whether it's the 25-minute barrier. Like everybody has their own mental battles in real life, or showing them that they can get through that. I feel like is huge because I obviously looked up to people on my team and saw that they can do it, so then I can, and that kind of thing. So I feel like being able to be there for them, how the other girls were for me, is definitely really special.
Yeah, and do you have like, or I guess I don't want to say pressure, but do you feel any pressure being again like kind of that leader of the team?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there definitely is, like going into the bigger races where it matters more. And it's almost like I have to be the one to lead because every girl, our team is huge about staying together. So we kind of try to like pack run and then just see how close we can finish because that's definitely like a good tactic whenever it comes to state. But so having to kind of be the one that has to take it out and settle in the pace, it can be stressful, but also I just, every time I get online, I'm just like, I've done this before. I've done it so many times. I know what I'm doing. I try not to get in my own head, and I definitely think that helps. Usually, I don't get too much in my head, and I just try to stay laid back, and it usually works. So that's good.
Yeah, pack running is the coolest thing ever. There's so many teams that don't do it, and like they could do it because they have just the meat is right, and it's like, hey, just kind of pack run it and help maybe your fourth and fifth out. Yeah, that's like the coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one more question here. When you guys are, do you guys huddle up when you guys are like doing runouts? You huddle up. Yeah, I guess two-parter here. Who's talking in that? Are you talking in that, or like is the senior talking in that?
Typically, it was like I don't know. You know Lydia Metz. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
heard of her.
Mhm.
Yeah. So usually it's like kind of her, and then everybody adds stuff, and we'll add stuff, and then we usually do a team prayer. So it's just like quick things, like you guys got this, and then we pray. So usually it's a prayer, and that switches throughout people. It just kind of depends on who is feeling or who wants to do it that day, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, well, like, what do you guys talk about in that? I always remember like it's such an interesting thing because you see it from the outside of like, oh, I wonder what they're talking about, and like I've had some goofy ones where people are just like, oh, huh, guys, there's a cemetery over there when we run by. It's like, oh, interesting. And then there's like,
Actually,
yeah, and then there's like, the serious ones where it's like, okay, guys, like, this is the plan.
yeah.
Like, um, but it's funny that you mentioned that though. Like, you guys kind of like pick. I had one time, we were saying something, and then my teammate. And it's funny because it's actually on video somewhere. My teammate's like, Corey's got a prayer. I was like, what the heck? And it just put me on the spot. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Really?
what do I, yeah. I was like, what do I say here?
Yeah.
So those are funny. That's what I'm like, it can't be pre-planned. Is it pre-planned out? Like who's going to talk or just like, it's just
No,
heat of the
not
moment.
usually.
Somebody just
Usually
goes
it's just
for it.
kind of like, yeah, it's like who wants to do it today, and then
Cause what if
somebody
you
will
mess it
take it.
up?
And
What if you mess it up and like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like the big moment. And I just
usually
like,
it's very lighthearted. Like if somebody messes up, it's not like too big of a deal. But we also all usually add stuff. So it's like if one person takes it mainly, and then we'll be like this, and then we usually do our runouts, and then on the line is when we kind of discuss what we're doing. So if we have a certain plan, we're like, you stick with this person and that. So we usually don't do that in our huddle. Our huddle is usually strictly for prayer, and then on the line we usually discuss kind of like plan what we're doing. And also some of the girls struggle with like anxiety and stuff, so a lot of on the line is also like just let it go, like you got this, you've done it before, that kind of thing.
last question. I know I keep saying like last question, but
No, you're good.
you're very interesting person to talk to. Um, do you have any like rivalry teams, or is there like a team that you're just like, that's the team we just want to beat today? Like we love beating that team, or
Yeah,
no?
I will say for a while it was Chapin, but because they were always just like we were always like head to head. It was always it could be us, it could be them. So for a while it was Chapin, and they would be kind of our people that we need to stick with them. We need to do this. But obviously we got split up. We're not in the same division anymore. But I feel like Malden is always very strong. They have a strong team every year, and they keep coming back. So I feel like they're also a big, not like rivalry necessarily, but it's just like our goal is to stick with them and see what we can do against them, and we're always just kind of ready for whatever team. Because I also feel like last cross country season, um, was it? I forget what team it was, but they kind of came out of nowhere. I think they won. I don't remember. But anyways, we just didn't really see them coming. So I feel like also it's not like we don't want to have our eyes specifically on one team because you never know what could happen or what could come to the line, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I think. I mean, friendly competition is always good, especially when you can link in with
yeah.
teams around you, different that are close by. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've always found it's like it just makes it fun.
Yeah,
And plus,
exactly.
it brings friendship too. It's good to have friends on other
Oh,
teams.
for sure. Like even though we're racing against the girls and it's like, oh, like we really want to beat you. After every race, we try to go talk to them. Like, good job. Whether you had the best race or the worst race of your life, we're always like, good job, and willing to bring each other up.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about cross country, especially. I think maybe you could see it in track as well, but obviously, just cross country is just a little bit more team oriented in that aspect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's always kind of a cool thing. Kendra,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we're definitely, again, like, love to link up with you. Maybe during the season or towards the beginning, just to see how summer went, and obviously, check out those races that you've been in last year in cross. They're definitely out
Yeah.
there,
Yes.
and all that jazz. So, but yeah, very much appreciate you coming on.
Yes. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.